Hello everyone, episode 23, Road to Superbowl. How about damn Cowboys? Yeah, the episode about Dallas Cowboys is here. And for you who are new to this show, what we are doing here is we are taking a look behind eyes of every single GM in this league who are trying to perhaps maybe do their jobs, which means assessing what this team has done past year, what they have done in the free agency, how does the roster actually look like, what is their window, win a Super Bowl, trying to win it, or even win division and whatnot. And we try to do more than just look at the team, say these guys are good, these guys are bad. We're trying to put their quality in the perspective of the money they are receiving in terms of their contract, because we live in the league where cap hit is instrumental tool for you, that you have to optimize to your advantage to give your coaching staff and your team the best chance to win it all. So that's kind of what we are doing here. We kind of do it in parts. First, we start to talk about 2023 season. Then we talk about free agency, or we start with rundown. Rundown contains taking a look at actually every single positional group. Weaponry contains quarterbacks, tight ends, wide receivers, and running backs. Offensive line contains offensive linemen. Defensive line also includes linebackers, with secondary being consisted from cornerbacks and safeties. And with coaches, we also take a look at special teams. For each team, there are specific topics that we don't discuss in general, but they are specific to this team. They might be just a clickbait kind of title, or they might be some part of their field, some part of their future, or some even part of their history, or one specific player. And for the Dallas Cowboys, it's playoff struggles. This was, again, embarrassing playoff performance against Green Bay Packers. Really coming out of nowhere. They were a huge favorite coming into that game, and they just drop it. Also, guys, if you hear some growling noises almost, it's my new kittens. They are playing with each other, and they are very noisy doing that. So don't worry, they are taken care of, but they like to make a bit of a mess. And somehow, when it's 2 o'clock in the morning, that's the time when they're trying to do the mess. Because why not, right? Also, what is another topic for the Dallas Cowboys is the all-in. Are they all in? The short answer is no. But it was Jared Jones saying this year we are going to go all in. And I want to talk about this in more detail than just this offseason. What is actually a long-term plan or vision from Jerry Jones, who is the owner of the Cowboys, one of the most known figures in the entire industry. And how does he treat, at least in my opinion, Dallas Cowboys? So that's another topic that we would like to discuss. And then it's all about one player. Is Zeke going to come back to Dallas? We can do these topics as separate things or during rundowns. But with no further ado, let's just start with assessing what the Cowboys have done in 2023. And there was a lot of good and a lot of Cowboys. They were slamming down opponents that were not on their level. The first day, they meet the Giants, they just absolutely embarrass them. They show them what their season is going to look like for the Giants. And they pretty much have done that against every single opposition in the league that just were not on their level. The problem for them, just as for the Dolphins that we've discussed earlier in the series, is they could not beat anyone good, pretty much. And that's kind of a long-term issue in a way for Dallas, because when it matters, this team cannot beat quality teams. And okay, you might be sitting here and say they beat the Lions. All right, they beat the Lions 20-19. We all remember how that the game ended, right? It was controversial to say, to say at least. And they also beat Eagles, which, yeah, they are a good team, right? Well, not at that point of time. Like, it was when Philadelphia was really trying, really on their downswing. So where they were still rising, they have beaten Cowboys. Also, they have beaten Rams, but it was before the Rams kind of pick up the momentum. So, like, they beat the teams that they should have. They got kind of lucky against the Lions. They are the only team that really are, like, that's a good win. But when you look at the losses, 42-10 at San Francisco, embarrassing. 28-23 at Eagles, when Eagles actually were good. 28-16 somehow at Cardinals. Like, what was that, man? That was without Kyler Murray. I think it was Joshua Dobbs still starting there and just beating Cowboys somehow. 31-10 at Buffalo. 22-20 at Miami. And then obviously in the playoffs, 32-48 at home against the Green Bay Packers. So the good thing for the Cowboys was they won the division. It's always nice to win a division, especially when you win it over Eagles for the Cowboys fans. And you can say that they have had really nice offense, really nice defense pretty much throughout the whole year. They looked amazing in some games. CeeDee Lamb definitely stepped up and took his game to an elite level. In terms of regular season, Dak Prescott looked much closer to like amazing player than to like just a good one. But what does it matter? Like, does it actually matter when it's same old Cowboys in the playoffs, when the Green Bay Packers comes to town and it just wasn't even a game. Like, it was pretty much, quarter and a half, and like nobody believed that Cowboys could win that game. I mean, yeah, the ending score, like 32-48, actually does not look that bad, but really it was like 14-48 just with 6 minutes to go. So it was like 2 touchdowns, 2-point conversion in garbage time. Kind of make this look a little bit less embarrassing, but at the end of the day, this was embarrassing. And given like how well this season was actually kind of set up for Cowboys, there was pretty much only one contender that was great throughout all the season. That was San Francisco. You have Detroit rising eventually, and Philadelphia like actually booming in the second part of the season. So it really was the time to like win it, or at least win the conference. Like, it was not like they had a team that was like so much better than them, like at least on the paper. I mean, even 49ers have their struggles, and you cannot really say that they were unbeatable. Like, Lions could have beaten them, Packers could have beaten them. In both playoff games, they struggled before reaching Super Bowl. So it's not like there was a competition that Dallas could not beat, but it seems like they just cannot make it in the playoffs. And when the season was over for them, the big expectation was that they will fire Mike McCarthy after another disappointing run in playoffs, and they didn't. I'm surprised by that. Honestly, I thought this was gonna be it. But that comes to the topic of all-in. That's like Jerry Jones' motto for this offseason, and they have actually done pretty much nothing in terms of free agency. And so it's for me now. It's time to like take a look at how I actually feel about like Dallas Cowboys operations, or how they conduct this team, especially like from Jerry Jones' perspective. And I feel like they are doing an amazing job in terms of making sure that this team is the most valuable team in all of sports. They are always relevant. They try to, like, when I talk about purgatory, I feel like Dallas is actually in some kind of purgatory. But for them, it does not feel like it's something that they have not chosen to be. And it's also not something that I really feel like they are in rush to get out of, because I feel that for Jerry at this point still, given how the like the free agency and other stuff are being done, to me it's more I want to kind of win it my way, which is like draft well, develop our players, not to like super overspend on free agents, or the winning of the Super Bowl is actually, I think, the secondary priority based on what Dallas Cowboys shown. I feel like for Jerry Jones, the main priority is for Dallas Cowboys to be always relevant, to be always talked about, to be always with some kind of hope. And that's pretty much what the purgatory means. Like, you are always good enough to be talked about in the media. You will always have stretches of games when you're like, yeah, maybe this could be our year. But eventually it won't. And especially for Dallas, this makes them very valuable because they are America's team. There is a lot of people in the media that will brought the Dallas Cowboys name into every conversation that they can. And because they are kind of relevant for like 15 years almost, at this point, like in a row, it doesn't feel like they had like super bad season, maybe one in that time span. And then you could like talk about like Tony Romo being injured and stuff. Like, it makes you relevant, it makes you kind of rich, it makes you the most valuable team. And it just feels like they don't want to shake up this reality. They don't want to take a huge risk and, maybe take 1 year off, try to retool, or just really go all in, push all the money, not in a Saints way, because that's kind of insane, but they are not even like pushing money down the road. Like, they are not trying to do this. They are not trying to optimize 1 year. I feel like they are more comfortable to have 3 10-win seasons than they are to have 1 5-win season and 2 12-win seasons. I feel like for them, or for Jerry Jones, 3 10-win season is better than the 2 12 and 1 5, because it means playoff, it means money, it means talking time. And it really seems like that's what Cowboys are about. And I feel that's gonna translate to what's going to happen next offseason, when I feel like they will extend Dak Prescott, because he is the guy that will make them relevant for years to come. But I don't feel like with him on a top money contract and without the situation that they were in for last 3 years or 2 years, with Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb being an absolute studs on rookie deals, like, these guys are absolutely incredible, and they still could not win despite having top 5 wide receiver, top 5 edge guy on the rookie deals. They still could not beat Green Bay Packers with the youngest roster in the league at home. They still could not do it. So do I feel like that's going to improve with Dak being paid, with Micah being paid, with CD being paid? No. But do I feel like they are going to get paid? Like, for CD and for Micah, they definitely should be. But for Dak, I mean, he is very good quarterback. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't want to blast him. He's had a really nice career. Actually from like late round pick, I think it was like 5th rounder or something, like similar to maybe Russell Wilson, although he does not have the accolades of Russell in terms of winning a Super Bowl, getting into another one. But he had a nice career. He's a high character guy. Like, I don't have like bad words against him, but he just does not win in playoffs. He just does not win when it matters. He has ugly performances in the playoff games, and I feel like you can win with him even being paid the top bucks when you absolutely hit on your picks. But that happened for past 2 years. It's even the reality for this season. You still don't have to pay Micah or CD top bucks, but again, the results are just not there. I want to just like take a slight step back. American football, or football, depending where you are listening to me, is a game that I think chance and bit of luck or refereeing, everything has such a huge impact on the results of seasons, because It's one game in the playoffs. Like, one bad night for you can say, okay, next year. And the next year, the stars are not aligned. You get injuries. You don't have good rookie contracts. And it's really, that's what Dan Campbell was talking about when the Lions kind of blew the game against San Francisco. Despite, I think a lot of us has high expectations for Lions going forward, he told his guys, this might have been our only option, because it really could have. There is just the teams that play Super Bowl. It's super hard to get there. It's just one game in the playoff, one bad night, one bad injury, and you can be out of it. So with that in mind, the fact that Doug has had this ugly playoff games, it's for any kind of reasonable statistician, it would not be a high enough sample size to evaluate him as a guy that cannot win playoff games. But in the realms of American football, you have to take your sample sizes with a really grain of salt and just kind of if you have 5 games in playoffs, that has to be it. That is your sample size, and for a lot of players, a lot of QBs, you don't even get there. Again, we talked about it with TJ Watt. He has 3 games in the playoffs. That's the reality of one of the best defensive players in the league. And so that's kind of where I'm thinking about All-In and Cowboys. What does it mean? I really feel like it means, talk about us and then be disappointed with us, be even negative. I don't think Jerry minds being put out in negative way. I feel like negative or positive, it just cannot be neutral, because that's really not embracing your brand. And it's not negative in a way that he would have some scandals, but because he under-delivers, under-promises, doesn't fire a head coach that under-delivered, etc., etc. So I don't feel like Jerry Jones mind this. So why else would you just say, we are going all in, and then they pretty much done 0 deals in the off season, So to me, that's what Dallas Cowboys actually is, in a way, of how the whole operation is being constructed. I don't think he doesn't want to win a Super Bowl, but he has it as a secondary aim. I think the primary aim is always be relevant, always be out there, always be in the news. And it makes him richer, it makes the team more valuable. So at the end of the day, is it a bad strategy from the business side of things? Definitely not. As a Cowboys fan, maybe. But again, as a fan of other teams in the league, it could be kind of blessing, because you get to kind of mock Cowboys fan, kind of enjoy their suffering. That does not feel again. It's not my case. I don't have personal anything against Cowboys. They are not in division of my team, which is Seattle, if you don't know. So for me, it's no hate towards Dallas, but I feel like for a lot of fans, it's actually a really nice thing to be at or have Dallas to talk about. Pretty much that was where they were in terms of 2023, how I feel like about their offseason. So with that being said, let's talk more about this roster, and we'll start with weaponry. For you who are first time here, what are we doing right now is trying to show you the player cards of players that I believe will have significant impact in 2024, or they had impact in 2023. So now it's time to look at your screens and actually enjoy their faces and get to know these guys. So let's start. Dak Prescott, Trey Lance, Cooper Rush, Deuce Vaughn, Tony Pollard, Rico Dowdle, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, Luke Schoonmaker, and Jake Ferguson. Here we were before the start of the offseason. Again, these are 2 tables where this team was before start of free agency, and here is where they are right now. So again, give me 30 seconds to check this table, then you can go just listening to this. what you can see here is the cap hits for every single season these guys are under contract. If you see their number being in red, it means either void years. Void years is for guys that are still under contract, like for Dak Prescott, which means that for 2025 he is due to have a cap hit of 40 millions, even though he's not going to be playing for the Cowboys. It's not like for 2076 it's another 12 millions. It's how it could be like deconstructed in a way that the cap hit for 2025 could be only 28 millions. When I told you guys like they are not pushing money down the line, it's not like they never do it, but they definitely not do it in a way that would be definition of all in, like where it's like, yeah, this is our year, and then the next year we're gonna suck because we pushed money towards that year. You also see here Michael Gallup. He's been released, or he's going to be released post June 1. Really sizable contract that he did not live up to, and they let him go. So where do we stand on the quarterbacks? Like with Dak, I have him as a very good starter, very close to an amazing starter. I feel like he is close to that second tier of guys, but I just miss it in the big games. Like, I feel like for pretty much every single amazing starter that I have as a QB, they showed me a reason why I should trust them when push comes to shove. And with Dak, I just miss that. So, but for regular season, yeah, if we could do it like for regular season, I think he's an amazing starter, and for playoffs he is like good to decent. So on the average, that makes very good starter. Then you have two backups in Trey Lance and Cooper Rush. Trey Lance, obviously, quite weird story. San Francisco kind of went all in order to draft him, and they did not really play him almost ever. He even lost like a backup job to Sam Darnold last season. That's why he got traded here for like a 4th round pick. And is there a world in which I see them letting go Dak Prescott after 2024 and just sign Trey Lance to like Sam Darnold type of contract, 1 year, 10 million, show us what you can do? I think it was any other season, then yes. I feel like with Cowboys it's just not going to happen, because the risk of that would be you are going to be atrocious, and I don't think they will take that risk. So I feel like for Trey, unless he absolutely balls out in the preseason and they like look at him and see, yeah, he's our guy for the future, I feel like he's gonna be done here, and it's gonna be interesting where he lands for 2025, and what is there even a career for him in the NFL or even as a backup. I feel like he's gonna get an chance because of his draft pedigree, because of the physical tools that he has, but I don't think it's gonna happen here with the Cowboys. Cooper Rush, nothing much to say there. Running back room is pretty shitty, let's be honest. Rico Dowdle, this one, both on rookie contracts, really nothing special. Good backup, unproven good backup. What unproven means, like I have not seen enough reps of him, but from what I saw, I would rank him as a good backup. So that's what unproven stands for here, or like why I actually add this. And I feel like this might be a situation when you try to bring Zeke back for 1 year, kind of 3-4 millions. He knows it here. I feel like people still like him in Dallas. In terms of fans, he had a nice season, like not something special, but I feel like he would be in the running back number 1 for this group if they don't bring anyone, or if they don't bring like a veteran running back. I feel like addressing this room with like 3rd round in the draft is probably on the table. But then let's go to better conversation, because we go to wide receivers and CeeDee Lamb. What a year for CeeDee. Like, he's been exceptional, almost 2,000 yards when you take both regular season games and one playoff game. He is like I still don't view him as Justin Jefferson or Tyreek Hill, but I do have him in an elite category, and he's just behind these guys. Like he is one of the 5 best wide receivers in the league, in my opinion. Like I don't think that's even much of a debate. But behind him, Michael Gallup, it did not work with him. You have to eat a lot of that cap hit with him, but letting him go, I think it's a right decision. Brandon Cooks kind of regressing with his age. He's still a good player, but having him as your reliable number 2, I feel like could prove costly eventually in a year. Jalen Tolbert as an interesting backup, I would much more prefer him to be like my number 4 or 5 guy. Here he's number 3. So definitely another position that I would not be surprised, or I would actually be surprised if they do not address in the draft, especially given how deep this wide receiver class is. And then you have your tight ends with Luke Schoonmaker and Jake Ferguson. And it really feels like you unnecessarily spend the second round on Schoonmaker because like you already have a tight end on a rookie deal that's kind of same guy, just better in Jake Ferguson. Man, like it's a good room. You don't have to pay it, but like I would much rather have that second round pick from last year spent somewhere else than on Luke Schoonmaker. And it's nothing against Luke. He's been good. He's a good backup, but I don't like necessarily see this as a like great succession plan because it's like you will get cheaper for 1 year if you let Jake Ferguson go after his rookie deal. So yeah, it doesn't really make that much of a sense in my opinion. Overall, this group is, I will go with like B- because of CeeDee Lamb, but you have really one of the worst running backs room. You have Dak Prescott not being able to show much when it matters, and kind of wide receiver 2 and 3 are definitely below league standards, but having top 5 wide receiver obviously lifts this up. And with Dak, I feel like he's still like a borderline top 10 quarterback in the league. So overall, this should not be a group that breaks your season, but if you feel like you should be winning because of them, yeah, that's where I'm like gonna push the brakes on these guys. And now let's move to the offensive line. So again, now it's time to meet the players. I give you 5 seconds to move your eyes to the screen and we will start. Okay, so Tyler Smith, Terrence Steele, Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, Brock Hoffman, and Tyler Biadasz with Chuma Edoga. Alright, here we were before the offseason started, and here we are right now. So yet another reason why I don't feel like the offense should be necessarily the story for the Cowboys for 2024 is this offensive line. You've lost Tyler Biadasz as your center. You've lost Tyron Smith as your left tackle, who was kind of finally able to stay healthy, but he's injury waiting to happen, as much as I hate to say it. And that's he took a right spot with Jets, who are kind of all in on the season, so they are more willing to pay a guy that's injury risk. But this leaves this offensive line that I feel like Dak Prescott has been used to his almost entire career to have an exceptional lines. It kind of leaves it in just good state with like several obvious problems. So let's start with good things. Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, one of the best guards duo in the league. Tyler Smith, he was like drafted as a tackle, so it would not be a surprise if he moves to left tackle. But as a guard, he's been really out there. He's been really great. I feel like very good starter might be even low for him. I definitely have him on the edge to be an amazing starter. And with Zach Martin, definitely top 3, top 5 guards duo in the league. But that's where it ends with good news. Because Terrence Steele, he got paid and he really underperformed his payroll last year. He was a problem, especially with pass protection, and he is signed for several more years, and unless he kind of picks up where he was a year ago, this could be one of the worst contracts in the league, and it doesn't have like a really nice way out, at least for another year after that. So they really need Terence Steele to go and be at least good for them for this money they are paying him. I feel like for this money you want the guy to be at least good, but preferably very good starter, and Terence Steele is decent at this point of the time. But he's still your third best O-line man, and that kind of says something, because you really have holes that, to me, they do not feel like they are filled. Like TJ Bass or Brock Hoffman are not the guys I want to start the year with, like for sure. So I still believe there are some linemen out there. Maybe David Bakhtiari could be the guy that they kind of bring to this situation. But overall, this is definitely something you need to address in the draft. You cannot go out there with TJ Bass and Brock Hoffman being your starters. I feel like that would just be way too much to overcome. So when I rank these guys, like if they actually start TJ Bass and Brock Hoffman, I cannot give this better than D, because I feel like that's just two glaring weaknesses that you cannot allow to start. No offense to you guys, but at this point, like, if you are my second center and third tackle, I can live with that. But if you are my starters, I'm worried. I'm very, very worried. So I feel like they will address it, whether it's signing David Bakhtiari, whether it's drafting a guy or maybe two guys in the draft. So with that, I will give them benefit of doubt, and because of Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, and presumable rookies that will come to this group, I will only rank this as like a C-, with like almost like a C grade, because I feel like if you draft at least good backup types, Zach Martin and Tyler Smith are good enough to like be such a solid pieces that you just won't be anything worse than average. But if Terence Steele is what he was last season, and if they cannot draft well or they do not address this can be a huge problem for the Dallas Cowboys, and definitely a problem that they are not used to have for like 10 years. So that's the O-line. Nothing really to thrive, and we will see how they actually approach the situation in upcoming weeks. So overall, for the offense, it's kind of B-. I don't really see it as like a huge strength. I feel like, the connection between Dak and CD is exceptional. You have some good players with like Jake Ferguson, Wesley, Zach Martin, Tyler Smith. But I think B- is almost too rich. Like, it's really not incredible group overall. So we will see if they, fill the holes nicely in the draft process, because I have them almost exclusively drafting offensive players. I feel like all 4 positions that I have in mock draft are offensive players. So what's it? So wide receiver, running back, lineman. Yeah, I'm not sure if the 4th guy is also an offensive player, but you will get to see that later. Overall, not anything special. And we leave it with that. So let's talk about defense. That's going to be much more positive conversation. So let's meet these guys, right? DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, Osa Odizigwa. Sorry, man. I tried. Mazi Smith, Sam Williams, Chancey Golston, William Ifekoho Jr., Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, also Jr., Jonathan Hankins, Neville Gilmore, Leighton Van Der Esch, Demarvin Overshown, Damon Clark, Marquise Bell, and Eric Kendricks. So here we were before the offseason started. You can see there were a bunch of players on expiring contracts, and here we are right now. They did not bring many of them back, or pretty much anyone back, right? Yeah. So where do we stand with this? Okay, let's start with great news. You have top 3 edge duo, perhaps the best one in the league, in Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. Like, your pass rush is exceptional. What is there to say? Like, Micah Parsons is Defensive Player of the Year waiting to happen. You will obviously pick up his 50 option, or it already might have happened. Like, 21 million is like nothing for him. I feel like he's gonna get paid close to like 40 millions when he finally gets paid. DeMarcus Lawrence may be losing a step from his form, from the guy that was elite, but he's still amazing, man. And like, these two guys, like, what do you want me to say? They are exceptional. Probably the best duo, or one of the 3 best duos out there to do this. Behind them, you have Chancey Golston, very nice piece 3. And with Ramifico Jr., this is kind of how you, like, in your dreams, how you construct this. Like, you have exceptional number 1, you have an absolute stud complement to him, then you have young guy that's actually quite nice, and an unproven last year rookie that actually showed some flashes as your number 4 guy. Like, you cannot put it any better when you actually follow cap hit rules. Then we move to inside, and there is the conversation is kind of much bleak in there, but it still should not be a huge issue. Osa is very good player, good starter. With Mazi Smith, he left a lot to be desired in terms of his rookie performance, but I feel like it's hard position to like go from college to pros because of how much the level of physical competition is going to change and improve, obviously. So he was a player that like could have made an impact year 1. He didn't, but I definitely don't feel like he is not going to make an impact, and I would be surprised if he does not end here as at least good starter. I feel like he is a player that will improve quite substantially in the year 2. Then with Sam Williams, again, quite a nice depth. You have 3 quite nice players. You don't have stars here, you don't have amazing players, but you have serviceable interior of the D-line. Then we go to linebackers. The situation here is pretty clear. You have 2 guys on rookie deals that are like okay-ish, you know, especially Damon Clark actually showing quite a nice play. And then you brought Eric Hendricks, the connection with Mike Zimmer, who is taking over as a defensive coordinator after Dan Quinn, who left to be a head coach for the Commanders. You brought another veteran defensive mind, and Eric Hendricks obviously knows him from his time in the Vikings. He's going to be his right hand on the field. Is he the player that he was for the Vikings? No. The age is definitely getting the best out of him, but is he a bad player? No. Should he be a reason that Dallas is gonna, lose a playoff game? I don't see that. Overall, not the most impactful position in football, filled with not a great players, but it should not be a huge issue. Overall, I would rank this as A minus. I struggle to put minus there, but given the lack of talent in terms of linebackers and actually a stud defensive tackle, I think A minus is really a grade that you deserve. But if Mazi Smith improves, if Osa actually, the crazy thing is you have really 5 to 6 guys in Damon Clark, Fikuhu, Golston, Williams, Mazi, Osa, and Parsons. So okay, it's 7 guys that can actually take another steps in their game, and that could be absolutely terrifying if they can reach. If every single one of them just moves like 1 tier in my rankings, then this is an absolute A+, man. Because okay, you can talk that Micah does not have like room to go, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like, I feel like with Micah, we might have not seen the best out of him. Like, this was his first year playing like a true edge rusher, and I feel like in a way he still learns that position. And if there is a way that we could have like a Sauce Gardner type of tier or Patrick Mahomes type of tier, like the guys that are elite, but maybe the guys that are already Hall of Famers and maybe one of the best to ever played on that position, I feel like Micah Parsons could move himself up to, just be even in tier of himself despite Myles Garrett's, DJ Watt's, Nick Bosa of the world. I feel like he has that potential. Like, I'm not saying he's gonna be like tier above, Myles Garrett, but if there is one player that I believe that could do it, it's Micah Parsons. Like, I have utmost respect and huge expectation for this guy, and I really believe he is not at his peak. So if that happens, then this is scary, and it's still a really, really good group. Definitely strong point of your team. So A- for me, and huge potential still. Then let's go and meet the secondary here. Again, give you guys a couple of seconds to check your screens. Okay, let's go. Trevon Diggs, Darren Bland, Stephon Gilmore, Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, Javon Curse, Jordan Lewis, Eric Scott Jr. Again, here we were before the offseason started, and here we are right now. So they let go Neville, Stephon Gilmore. Why I like Neville? It's not Neville Longbottom. Sorry, Stephon, you did not deserve this one. They let go Stephon Gilmore. I would say for a good reason. You have Trevon Diggs back. Stephon was good, not really special guys for you. You have Darren Bland on rookie deal that took the league by the storm with his record pick sixes for a season. He still has how to say it, like he still has a lot of problem with coverage. He is definitely a guy that takes a lot of risks, and because of that he gets the interception and pick sixes, but there is a lot of time there is a guy behind him that gets open and scores a touchdown, takes a huge chunk of yardage, and you could see that in like Green Bay Packers game. So he's, despite him being talked as like exceptional cornerback, he's not. Like, let's pump the brake a little bit. He's very good for year two guy. He was very special. I do not hate that he was like voted all pro or something, but like he is not great coverage player, like not exceptional one, definitely. Like, is there room to grow? Will he make better decisions? Will he not jump everything and try to get that pick and pick six eventually? Yeah, I feel like he's going to do that, and there is like no better mentor to do so and to progress in this direction than Trevon Diggs, because he was kind of Darren Bland in that direction. They are both very aggressive players, but Trevon Diggs kind of learned to tune it down a bit, be more responsible in that sense. And I think if Darren Bland is gonna continue to develop on this number one, number two cornerback are really in a great state for the Cowboys. If number three, Eric Scott, or the depth here, it's not great. I would advise to bring someone during the draft, but overall, good group, and with definitely room to improvement from Darren Bland. So I think you are happy. Even if you have to start Eric Scott, it should not be a huge issue. Maybe you try to save on this position at least for another year. You are just going with Trevon being paid, and then Darren Bland and Eric Scott, and you don't invest another draft capital because you've already done that for Scott and Bland. For safeties, Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, kind of safe bets as veterans out there. They are good, nothing special, nothing bad. Overall, I would say that about the whole secondary, it's kind of B- in my opinion. You have good cornerback room, good safety room, really no glaring weaknesses. But I don't see an exceptional player there. And you might hate me for that. You might say, Diggs is there, or Bland had that type of season. I feel like they could be, but with Trevon Diggs, he's coming back off injury. Is he gonna come back as strong as he finished when he played? I don't know. So because of that, when I have to decide between very good starter or amazing starter, I will take slight knockdown because I want to see if he doesn't lose a step because of injury. With Darren Bland, we already talked about him. The coverage is not great. He needs to be better. He needs to be more responsible. But I definitely see him being able to do that. They will probably look better in terms of the statistics like interception than I have them ranked, but I feel like in terms of coverage it might be a bit left to be desired. But overall, again, I think very nice group, B-. It's nothing to scoff at, and I don't feel like there is really much bigger ceiling than B, because I don't think the safeties will improve. I feel like Trevon Diggs could be amazing, Darren Bland could be very good, Eric Scott could be decent. If that happens, it's still just B, maybe B+ type of room. But I don't feel like you necessarily have super high ceiling here. But overall, definitely nice group. When you mesh this down with the D-line and linebackers, this is going to be one of the best defenses in the league. And there's still some really crazy potential, especially on that D-line. So I think it's going to be much more of a defensive side of the story, which actually has been the case for Cowboys for several years in a row right now. But you don't hear about it that much. You hear about Micah Parsons, you hear about Darren Bland pick sixes, but obviously in a league that's much more focused on offense, I would feel like they kind of steal attention from this really, really good defense. And there is a chance for this defense to be one of the top 5 in the league, or top 3 even. Okay, so that's it. Let's just go for the coaches, and then we will finish it with my mock draft for the situation and how I view Super Bowl window for the Cowboys. So Mike McCarthy here, I don't have his picture for some reason. I have Kevin O'Connell here. I feel like if Cowboys could choose whether you want to have Mike McCarthy here or Kevin O'Connell, I feel like they would go for Kevin O'Connell for sure. But I'm sorry guys for not having his picture, or I kind of forget to change it. But Mike McCarthy is still head coach, and I think he's good, but he has good records. But do I see him winning Super Bowl in this era of young head coaches, offensive types, offensive gurus? Not really. I feel like he is much more of a guy that's going to have a nice floor for each team that he is on. He will want things to be done his way. He's going to be... he is... in a way, slightly worse version of Mike Tomlin. I have good enough respect for both of these guys. I feel like they will always do quite a nice job. But I think they have a ceiling in this modern league. With Mike Tomlin, it's more of a ceiling that he is a defensive mind. With Mike McCarthy, it's more of a ceiling that he just does not want to change the way he sees the game that much, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think there is a ceiling on Mike, and that might be a problem for Cowboys, or might not be. If my perception of Jerry Jones and how the Cowboys are actually run are correct, then yeah, he is actually the right man for the job. Brian Schottenheimer, I don't have many good things to say about Brian because of his Seattle connection, so... yeah, he was not even coach last year. He was coaching analyst, something like that. It's kind of weird, it's Mike McCarthy and Brian, like it's kind of Mike McCarthy's offense, but Brian is kind of semi-offensive coordinator down there. I don't see this duo as really anything special for offensive play calling, and truth to be told, it's good, but not great for sure. Mike Zimmer as a signing, it's kind of similar to when they hired Dan Quinn, like really good, experienced defensive mind who kind of faded away as a head coach, but it still doesn't take a lot out of. Sorry, what happened, kitten? Sorry, guys. My kitten just randomly bumped into me for no reason at all and started to yell at me. Okay, so I needed to check what's wrong. Apparently nothing. I might just have been sitting wrong for some reason. Okay, let's go back to Mike Zimmer. Like, I view this like similar to Dan Quinn, faded head coach, but still good defensive mind. One like knock on him that I would not have on Dan Quinn is I feel like is much better working with like experienced player than with young ones, and given where this defense is in terms of age, I feel like that might be a bit of an issue. So am I persuaded that he is the guy that should get the best out of all the guys that we talk about that have really still not peaked? No, I don't think like Mike is that guy. So to me, that's definitely a downgrade from Dan Quinn. I feel like he's going to do a solid job, but when I talked about the D-line have a potential to be really something absolutely special, I'm not convinced that Mike Zimmer is going to make it special. Then you go to your special teams, and what is there to say? Like, they are one of the very few groups that I actually have ranked like big plus for them. Brian Anger, one of the better punters or best punters in the league for several years in a row right now. And Aubrey, like up to like week 15, I think he did not miss any field goal. And unfortunately, when it kind of mattered the most, he made some mistakes, some blocked field goals. But overall, he was looking exceptional. And I feel like in both of these guys, you have a strong suit for you. And they really could be something that maybe will give you might win a playoff game because of these two guys. Like, I feel like they are that good. The question is, can you not lose it by, Dak Prescott's mistakes or the offensive line problems? Or perhaps the defense doesn't show up the way that they did in the entire season. Darren Bland gets cooked. All of this can happen, so that's it. But for these two guys, I have utmost respect, and I believe they could be an X factor for the Cowboys. So how do I view Cowboys overall? I will get to that in a minute, because now it's just the time. How would I draft? They have their own picks for first, second, and third round. And like I said, I would definitely spend it on offense, kind of picking the best guy out there for any of these three positions, with definitely this being my position group of choice. So I would like to spend the best pick I have for the offensive lineman, the second best for the wide receiver, and the third one for running back. So this is kind of my ideal draft in terms of how I would spend these picks for the position. It's not necessarily these players are the best for what they could offer to the Cowboys, but I felt like they were the best that was out there when I was making this mock draft with pff.com/mock. So that's pretty much it for the Cowboys. In the end, we will talk about their window, and honestly, I'm not sure how open it is. Like, if you cannot do it with CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons on rookie deals, when you will do it? I don't know. Like, it still feels like this should be a year they're trying to go for it. With like Eagles, we don't know what they will be after last year's implosion. With Giants, we expect them to not be great. With Washington still being rebuilt, they should be favorites to win the division probably. And again, for next season, you don't have Dak under contract, and eventually, in a year or two, you have to pay CD and Micah. So it's most likely this year that they should have the window open the most. It definitely could be that just the sheer awesomeness of Micah and CD will keep you relevant in upcoming years, but in terms of like optimizing the window, it's gonna be hard to have it more open than it is right now, given the state of division, given the state of the conference as whole, given the fact that you kind of have to decide whether or not you're going to pay Dak, and if not, there is still 40 million in dead cap awaiting to happen for next season. So yeah, I don't feel like Cowboys' future is necessarily set up nicely. I feel like they kind of missed their like super trooper window with CD and Micah. Well, this still is a year, but clearly they are not trying to go all in because they just have not made additions. They are more responsible because they know these contracts are away. And again, I feel like this is how they approach these things. We just want to be relevant each and single season. We don't want to risk being really bad one year because that's just not gonna cut it for Jerry Jones. So these were your Cowboys. Let me know down in the comment where you agree, where you disagree. Am I totally wrong on Jerry Jones' approach? How do you view my rankings of like guys like Dak Prescott? How do you feel about hiring of Mike Zimmer? I definitely want to hear you on this one. If you like this, please leave a like, please leave a comment. It helps. Yeah, it's very, very much appreciated. And up till next time, have a nice day. Bye.